Welcome to the Weekly MindSweep number 213, Mind Your Business, Intuition. Is intuition or fear running your business? There's a phenomenal offer for your ideal client sitting quietly on your desk. Okay, maybe not literally, but energetically. You know the one. You've been circling it for weeks, maybe even longer. You thought about who it's for, how it would work, and what problem it solves. You've changed the name a couple of times, adjusted the price, and keep putting off the launch until you finish just one more thing. Every time you consider putting it out into the world, you tell yourself, it's not quite right yet. You pause. You listen inward. You tell yourself you're honoring your intuition, that you're being thoughtful, that you're waiting for clarity. And from the outside, it may seem responsible, aligned even. But if you slow down and pay attention to your body, not just your thoughts, you might notice something else beneath the waiting. A tightness, a bracing, a subtle holding of breath. The truth is, you're not really waiting for inspiration. You're waiting for certainty. And certainty is the one thing business rarely gives us upfront. For many creative, heart-centered ADHD entrepreneurs, not delivering can feel safer than delivering something imperfect. It's not that we don't believe in our work, but sharing it means getting a response. And responses, especially unpredictable ones, activate the nervous system. So we wait. We call it intuition, but often it's fear wearing intuition's clothes. True intuition doesn't usually sound panicked or circular. It doesn't loop the same question over and over again. It doesn't keep renegotiating the same decision without new information. Intuition tends to arrive after a space, after a pause, after enough quiet for the signal to rise. Often, what we're really feeling is a protective habit shaped by our past experiences. If you've launched something before and it didn't go as planned, your body remembers. If you've put yourself out there and then felt misunderstood, your nervous system takes note. If money has ever felt precarious, your brain will try to eliminate risk wherever it can. For someone with ADHD, avoiding action can feel regulating. No rejection, no feedback, no awkward silence, just relief in the quiet. And that relief is powerful. Relief can feel like wisdom. Stillness can feel like discernment. Delay can feel like self-trust. But relief is not the same thing as intuition. Relief soothes the nervous system in the short term. Intuition serves the long game. And the long game of business requires information that you just can't think your way into. Here's the part that often gets missed in conversations about intuition. Some clarity only arrives after movement. This doesn't mean actually acting recklessly or impulsively to please others. It means taking thoughtful, intentional steps to learn, not to prove your worth. An offer doesn't become right in insulation. It becomes right when you share it, get feedback, see what connects, and learn where things flow and where they stall. If you don't share your offer, your mind fills in the gaps. It imagines rejection, failure, or proof of old stories and doubts. But imagination is not evidence. Action gives you evidence, and evidence is what allows fear to rewire. This matters even more for ADHD entrepreneurs whose motivation systems are wired less around abstract planning and more around lived experience. The nervous system doesn't calm down because you thought something through. It calms down because you survived the thing you were avoiding. Without real experience, fear stays hypothetical and can feel endless. This is where discernment really matters. Impulse tells you to put it out right now for relief, excitement, or validation. Impulse acts quickly, driven by urgency and the need for quick reward. It wants action just for the sake of action. Intuition tells you to pause, pay attention, and discern what's really true. Intuition doesn't rush, but it doesn't freeze either. It responds instead of reacting. Override happens when you ignore what you know, either by forcing yourself forward when you feel resistance or by holding back even when you're quietly ready, because fear is louder than trust. Both overworking and holding back can be forms of override, and both can keep you from reaching your true business potential. The goal is not to get rid of fear. It's to notice when fear wants to protect you and when intuition is inviting you to take part. Awareness is the first step. Here are 5 things to notice or try this week. Number 1, notice what you are calling intuition. When you say, "My intuition says no," ask yourself, is this a clear, settled knowing or a looping hesitation? Clarity feels grounded. Fear feels repetitive. Number 2, separate readiness from certainty. You don't need certainty to take the next step. You just need a safe way to try. What's the smallest, safest version of this offer you could release to gather information? Number 3, use action as a data tool, not a verdict. Sending out an offer isn't a judgment on your value. It's just an experiment. What happens if you approach it with curiosity instead of outcome pressure? Number 4, track relief versus alignment in your body. Relief often feels like exhaling after avoiding something. Alignment feels like a steady, grounding yes, even when nervousness is present. These are not the same sensation. And number 5, practice saying, "This is version 1." Perfection is not intuition, it's a control strategy. Allowing yourself to build in public, knowing that improvement comes from feedback, not from working alone. That offer on your desk, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be final. It doesn't even need to be wildly successful. What you offer really needs to be shared. Because intuition doesn't always guide us and to say don't, sometimes it guides us by saying try. Not to rush you or pressure you, but to give your nervous system new information. Information that no amount of thinking can provide. Mind your business doesn't mean waiting forever for certainty. It means knowing when your wisdom lives in the pause and when it lives in the step forward. Trust yourself enough to notice the difference and act on it. I have 2 questions for you this week. How do you personally experience the difference between intuition and fear in your body? What sensations help you tell them apart? If action were simply a way to gather information, not prove anything, what would you be willing to try next? You belong here, I can help. Most of the entrepreneurs I work with aren't stuck because they lack ideas, discipline, or intuition. They're stuck because they've been trying to make business decisions from mind alone, overthinking, second-guessing, or waiting for certainty that never arrives. As a brain-based business strategist, I help creative, heart-centered entrepreneurs understand how their nervous system, lived experience, and motivation patterns are shaping their business choices, and how to work with their brains rather than against them. This isn't about pushing harder or moving faster. It's about learning when to pause, when to act, and how to gather real information without burning yourself out or overriding your own wisdom. If you're holding an offer, decision, or next step, and you can't tell whether it's intuition or fear running the show, you do not need certainty to start. You need curiosity and a willingness to listen differently. And if you need support, you belong here. I can help. Book a free consultation. Curated conversation, if this conversation resonated with you, you don't have to sit with it alone. Curated conversation is a weekly live space for heart-centered, ADHD-wired entrepreneurs to slow down, reflect together, and learn to distinguish intuition, conditioning, and fear disguised as logic. If you've never joined us, your first month is free. Come sit in the room. Listen if you want. Speak when you're ready. Stay if it feels like home. We meet Mondays at 8 a.m. Start with coffee, belonging included. You can learn more about this and book your free consultation at chickbookcreative.com.